All right. How you doing? My name is Liam Jones. I am an artist from Toronto, Canada, and I am driving into work. It is 5 o'clock in the morning. Sun is barely cresting the horizon, and all I'm thinking about is comic books, cyborgs, robots. Please report. Remember that 80s song? Freakazoids, robots, please report to the dance floor. I'm definitely in my 40s. I'm 47. And I'm in a world that's all about kids, comic books, comic books, and Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and content creation. It's like my 18-year-old daughter and I have things in common right now with TikTok. This is ridiculous. But I do want to be in business for myself. So I'm trying to figure out that. And it looks like people are liking it. You know, I get new subscribers all the time, kind of watching my stuff. Um, it's exciting, actually. I've really come to enjoy it. Can you see me? Look, I got the Star Trek light on the eyes there. James T. Kirk. Engage. Scotty, we need more power. Yeah, there's nothing like a Star Wars reference to get your morning going. I am really glad to be recording this morning and talking to people, whether or not you're watching or not. My YouTube channel is growing. I passed 300 subscribers, which for me is kind of a big deal because getting in front of a mic and a camera just makes my armpits sweat. And it's not a pleasant sweat. It's the kind of sweat that smells like it attracts flies, like all the animals in the local area turn and go, "What? Oh, he's nervous. We must attack him." But I have gone over that fear, and I went over the hump, and I've made over 100 videos now on YouTube. A lot of them are 15-second videos for the vertical format, but I do have some longer form videos and some live streams and stuff. But I know 300 subscribers isn't a big deal. In fact, what I get in a comment, and I've got this several times now, is "You're so underrated. You're so underrated." I know it's meant to be a compliment, and it is. I take it as a compliment, but it's such like why don't you have over 10,000 or 30,000 or 100,000 for the level of ability that you can bring to your YouTube channel and for your subscribers? It's like, hey, that's awesome. That means that there's actually hope for this guy who couldn't even string two words together in front of a camera. Or when I did, it was awful. It was really bad. My first couple of videos on YouTube were about this Marxist author who influenced all of my fine art education in York University, in the Toronto University known as social justice heaven. It was brutal. I was educated and indoctrinated into the postmodernist Marxist thought, and I didn't know up from down. I was so disillusioned when I went to that school. I was looking at my other artist friends who were going to real schools and learning real skills, and I was there learning how to write essays and talk about how great Foucault and Derrida is. And I don't know if you know who Foucault and Derrida are, but they are Marxist philosophers, horrible human beings. And I got out of that university after a year and a half. I did learn how to write a little bit, but I didn't learn how to draw. And I went over to a different post secondary education, hoping to get some drawing skills. And that school was an art college in Toronto called the Ontario College of Art and Design. And that school was also Marxist, but at least I was getting a better feel for drawing and painting. And I went into the fine art side of things. I went through the foundations year and chose fine art because, well, I wanted to draw and paint from life and be free as much as possible. I didn't want to be one of those corporate bums going and doing web design and industrial design and drawing cars for designers. I wanted to basically make paintings that were going to be beautiful, and sell them. And I did that. I went to York University and then Ontario College of Art and Design, and I never graduated. I left school with a huge student loan because I was a scared. I was terrified of the student loan. I was a scaredy cat. So I had $15,000 in debt, and I stopped going to that school, and I just started drawing and painting on my own and selling my paintings on eBay. That's what I did. I did eBay because I saw a couple of artists on there. This one Toronto artist, her name is Asnat Sadok. It's like a Jewish name, and she was selling her paintings for $300 or $400. Some of them were going up to like $700. And at that point, for me, that was making bank. And I was like, that's something I want to do. Her work is really, it's just splashy colors on a canvas, right? Nothing really to look at. I always liked drawing and whatnot. So anyway, I got into the fine art stream and I started doing splashy paintings instead of drawing really well. I did some horses eventually because horses were selling pretty well. So I became an abstracted horses guy, which in my opinion is barely a man. Barely. I don't know what kind of guy does horses and abstracts. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being hard on myself. They were beautiful, I gotta tell you, and people like them, and they sold. But I wasn't happy. I wanted to draw spaceships and robots and superheroes and write a comic, which is what got me excited about art in the first place. So I sold on eBay for about a year or so, and I started to get my stride when the economy collapsed and YouTube changed their platform, and so I was introduced to the to the shifting sands of internet sales. Basically, what happened was with eBay, this is what really did it in, is that I couldn't buy shelf space. I couldn't get eyes on my work anymore. Originally, you were able to drop $20 and you get on this short list of like promoted posts on eBay. So if someone came into eBay and they typed in paintings, right, I would come up. That $20 would buy me eyes right away. And so I was able to sell pretty quickly. But then they changed and I couldn't do that. And so people would have to sift through, kids' drawings and people who never had any art education whatsoever. And I was just lost in it. And eBay just sucked at that point for me, really bad. And that kind of interrupted things. So anyway, that's how my art career started. Cheers. So I've been doing art as a part-time career ever since. I'm doing a day job, which is what I'm driving to right now, and I'm okay with that. As far as I'm concerned, there's honor in doing a day job, paying your bills, supporting your family. I have a daughter. I'm a single dad, so I'm doing that deal. But my passion is, all the time, I'm just thinking about art and comics. And don't bug me, I'm drawing, I'm going to go off here and I'm going to bust out my iPad and I'm going to draw superheroes. And that's beautiful to me. So that's what I'm doing. I'm growing my following. I am so glad you're here. I'm so glad people are actually interested in the work that I'm doing, that they're getting interested in my little world. I've been drawing this comic and writing this comic for 2 years now. 2 years. In the year 2020, as soon as the pandemic hit, I started writing my comic. And the working title is Hello Future. That's probably not going to be the actual title because I Googled the title, which is what you're supposed to do whenever you come up with a name for anything, is you Google it and see what's up. And Hello Future is actually a hashtag. And it's a pretty big hashtag. It's like, it's pretty rocking on Instagram. So anyway, I don't think that's going to be the title for my comic. Needless to say, it also kind of sounds like Hello Kitty, which is friendly, but it's not exactly the vibe I'm going for my comic. But here's the story. Okay, if you're interested in my comic, in my world, and the way my brain works. So in the year 2555, it is not a dystopian future. It's also not a utopian future. It's just a future, a probable future of what could happen if things keep on going the way they're going. There's no nuclear war. There's no massive, asteroid impact on the planet. Climate change doesn't really do what people expect it to do, which is also highly probable. Uh, and life continues on. Of course, that there are problems and things going on in the world, but for the most part, people are doing what they're doing, and technology has vastly improved over the course of 500 years from where we are, which is perfectly sensible because technology does get faster exponentially. Every 5 years, there's like this massive revolution. I think it's faster than that now. Um, AMD and Intel are increasing the speed of their processors by about 20%, like every year. Can you imagine what would happen over the course of 500 years, the technology? So that's fun to explore, and I think it's a little bit more advanced than what we see in Star Trek. So I'm going on that notion, and I got this guy in the back of me just blaring his high beams. Look at this. Look at the Star Trek effect on my eyes. That is wicked. That's purely because of high beams Eddie behind me there. Um, where was I? So 500 years in the future, there's this team of people led by a guy named Isaac Whitmore, and he has a space station and a team of scientists working on a time machine, a time ship, and a robot. And because they cracked the code on time travel, they are thinking of going back into the past and doing something for the sake of fun and profit. So they target our time with his great grandfather, however many greats that is over the course of 500 years, who knows? And his name is Damascus Whitmore, same last name. See what I'm doing there? And he is a military contractor. He's a retired vet, very successful. He got into a leadership position in the Navy and then was chosen to head up a team of scientists from our time who are basically military contractors. There you go, high beam Eddie. Okay, I'm going to follow you because the guy in front of me is driving me nuts as well. I don't know if you can see. Look at that beautiful sky behind me. You can tell that it's early in the morning, see? I also have this beautiful coffee substitute called mud water, the most undesirable name for a drink ever. But I like it, and it doesn't give me the coffee jitters or the sweats. I can go through the day feeling like a normal human being instead of having to change my shirt and slap on deodorant halfway through my workday. It's gross. By the way, yes, that's what coffee does. And if you do drink a lot of coffee, yes, you probably do smell. And I'm sensitive to that stuff. I got this big nose, see? It works. So where was I? So this team in our time here, actually about 5 or 6 years in the future, because that's when I figure everything is going to start hitting with my comic a little bit more. This team is 6 people. They're very, very talented people, all scientists and in R&D, developing this military contracting company. The working title of the company right now is Paladin, which I know is not a good title, but it's a good working title until I think it through. I'm actually getting really good at thinking about names. I go deep, you know. I do a deep cut on getting into the backstories of all the characters and everything that's going on. It turns out that I love writing. I get right into it. I do full on scripts, world building, spending days and weeks building out characters. So, yeah, each of the characters in this comic book has a very rich backstory and lots to draw from. So, the high points in this comic book and why I think it's going to be awesome is because I'm writing it the way Robert Kirkman, I think his name is, taking a note from him, where he comes up, and what I'm doing is the same thing, right? So when I talk about him, I'm talking about me. Uh, Come up with a couple of awesome things. What would be the coolest possible thing you could imagine in a comic book? Say that's what's going to happen. Build up to it in 5 or 10 pages, or an issue or 2 issues until you come to that awesome moment. So you have the moment happens, it's satisfying, and then you move on, and then there's a rhythm to it. So I'm doing it in terms of like page turns and high points. And while that all happens, my character is banter, and there's lots of banter. And this is the most fun about writing a comic book for me, is coming up with the repartee, the jokes that go back and forth between the characters, because they're always jabbing at each other, and they all love each other, but you need to have that camaraderie, which is what I loved most about the X-Men, was that they were always joking when they were fighting. They would just have, and the same thing with Spider-Man too. They would always be cracking jokes and making fun of the guy they're fighting or whatever as they go through their awesome fight scenes. So that's the plan. Lots of action, super high points, very well scripted, and lots of jokes. And I need two editors for this. I need one editor, and then I need a big time editor who goes over the whole thing to help me have the right kind of feel. So nothing detracts from the meaning of the comic book and the impact that it has. What's wrong with the comic book market right now is that a lot of these indie comic people don't have the money for editors, or they don't have the wherewithal to get an editor. I mean, it's expensive, right? And if you don't have an excellent, someone who loves the craft of writing like an editor does, and someone who's invested in your comic, like Tom DeFalco back in the day in Marvel Comics. I mean, you need to have a lot of eyes on your work to make sure that things work right. So, you write your first draft, you go into second draft, and then you actually figure out what the work is about, and then you just edit the crap out of it yourself, under the watchful eye of a good editor. And then the editor will come back and hack it to pieces, and then you go to town again, right? And a lot of these people who are writing comics, as far as I can tell, they're not doing a whole lot of editing, and it shows in the work. It just doesn't seem to be professional. I'm not going to mention any names or any people that are doing this kind of thing. But I buy a lot of comic books even now, and you can see the difference between someone like Marvel and DC, or an indie producer. And that's not to say the indie producers are doing bad work, because it's great work, and it's entrepreneurial and it's beautiful. But all that to say is, I'm going to invest in an editor, in a couple of editors, to make sure that my comic stands out from the crowd and is going to just knock your socks off. It's going to be super professional. And if I have to go to a publisher to get that, or to afford it, then I will. I'll pitch. I'll do all the things that are necessary, because 2 years into building up a comic world is a significant amount of time. Uh, and it's not going to be just one issue. Like, so far, I've got about 10 issues of content for this comic, and it's a whole story arc that's going to span time. So I'm kind of excited about it. Hello Future is the working title. The main character is Damascus Whitmore, and he's got a love interest, and her name is Neve O'Day. Her call sign is Lorca. I just burped, by the way, but it was a really wussy burp. There was no power behind that belch. There was no belch, in fact, at all. It was just silent. Anyway, so he's got a love interest, and she's beautiful, and she's a woman of faith. She's a Protestant who doesn't really go to church. She's not into it, but she's got her life together, and she's a researcher and a scientist, and he is reckless. He's got no sense of his own worth and value, and he's a daredevil. So he rides a motorbike. He does all the thrill-seeking stuff that you would if you're in the military, and he's probably got a little bit of PTSD in there. But I'm not going to get into the mental health issue side of things too much. Why not? Because this is not a sad comic. There's another beef that I have about all kinds of, science fiction and comic stuff they're doing today. It's like everything is a tear jerker. Everything's a tear fest. Like, they're trying to go for an Oscar, and you're making a comic book movie about a whole bunch of stones that go onto a glove that make a guy all powerful, and he's got purple skin and a nutsack chin, and it's like, that's not gonna get yourselves an Oscar, guys. It's not, and people are leaving the theater sad because all the main heroes died, and it's like, oh my gosh, I love it when my voice cracks. Oh my gosh. It's so sad. You know, I'm not into the super sad comic. Like this the point of my comic is to have fun. Of course there's going to be some drama. Of course things are going to get sad and dark. That's got to happen. I know that it does. But this is fluff. It's cotton candy, man. It's like it's fun for kids. And I'm not under any illusion that it's that it's anything but fun. Uh, I'll slide in uh, some good stuff in there, some literary value. Ooh, can you? Hopefully, you can't see my work insignia because I have to keep my job. I have to keep my job secret off of my live stream. Wow, look, I got all the kinds of red lights around me. I'm getting close to being into work, but I just wanted to do a little bit of recording, say, hey, what's up? It's been a while. My name is Liam Jones. Please subscribe to my channel, and you'll see a whole bunch of content. I'm building out my comic now, getting the look of everything, developing the look of the cybernetic implants, the spaceship, the robots, all the mecha stuff. Because what happens is they all become a bunch of cyborgs and mech warriors, and it's going to be super awesome. But that's all that I'm going to tell you about it for now. I got to leave some highlights for when the comic actually comes out. I'll figure out, you know, how to get the cool stuff in front of you as things go on without actually wrecking the comic. Anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. This is Liam Jones artist. Talk to you later. Bye.